शिवा शादी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. So we are covering chapter number 4, and today we are going to see two shlokas, 9 and 10. Text number 9. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम एवं यः प्रेति तद्विता त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनः जन्म न एति मामेति स अर्जुन. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activity does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, by attains, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Text 9. प्रीतिराग भया क्रोधा मत्मया माम उपासिता बहव बहवो ज्ञान तपस्या पूता मद्भावम आगता. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past become purified by my knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. Hare Krishna. Anybody want to recite the shlokas? 9 and
Hare
10.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji. Mataji, please continue.
No, I follow you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please, I'll
Hare
read the
Krishna.
next one.
Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam yevan yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else want to read?
Hare
Premami
Krishna,
Mataji.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Text 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashitaha bahavo jnanata prasa bhuta madbhavam agataha. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else want to read? Okay, we'll move into the explanations here. So we can see this slide as well. So very highly significant verse from chapter number 4, text 9 and 10. And we see that text number 9, it actually reveals the secret to liberation. So when we say liberation means what? Uh, so liberation is not what many people think that liberation means we not only stop suffering, also we stop existing. But the actual definition of liberation is actually liberating from the cycle of birth and death. So in this, you see the slide here, Lord Krishna instructing Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And what is the goal of this shloka is to talk about the transcendental position of Supreme Lord, which, when realized, frees anybody from the cycle of birth and death. So the first thing is key we have to realize the Supreme. That is the first stepping stone. After that only everything will start. And you see here that in the next slide, it shows two realms. So in the left side, you have the material world, and the right side, you have the spiritual world. So as we know that in the left side, this material world, here in the picture also, you can see that it is full of dark, chaotic, right? And it is also labeled as Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, a place of misery. And you can see that the person, how he is actually trapped in the figure, it is clearly seen. He is trapped in this and he's struggling. So, who is he actually? It is the conditioned soul who actually struggles. He is trapped and he is struggling. Whereas in the right hand side, you see the spiritual world. And you can see here, as we saw that in the left side, the material world is dark, whereas the spiritual world is actually glowing. Not only it is glowing, it is very peaceful. It is also vibrant, and it is called as Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha means where you are free from all the anxiety. As we see that in material world, we always have anxiety. Yeah. So whereas the spiritual world, it is filled with full of light, divine form, and you can also see the temples. And in between this figure, luckily we have a bridge of light between the two, between the material world and spiritual world. There is a bridge, and that is the actually nothing but the path of showing the journey of transcendence. So we see that here, ki material world, Dukhalayam Shashvatam, full of misery. Why full of misery? Because we have these four things, right? Four miseries, because of which nobody can say ki they are not suffering from miseries. So these four miseries are birth, death, disease, and old age. Now you see that ki, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, throughout the classes, we keep on repeating all these things because as we are conditioned soul, we keep on forgetting this. Yesterday, what we have taken in the breakfast, lunch, it is very difficult to remember. We have to recollect because we are conditioned soul. So always we are repeating this. So that is the main purpose. Until unless we have to condition, we are conditioned toward this material world, right? So now we have to condition our towards the spiritual world, for which we have to keep repeating this so that we are conditioned and we are ready for the spiritual world. And the spiritual world is eternal, Vaikuntha, full of bliss and knowledge. So what is our whole purpose and goal is to attain the eternal abode by transcendenting the material. So from this left, we will move towards the right. And luckily we have the bridge. We have the bridge to cross from the material world towards the spiritual world. And now you see here, this is the stepping stone. The first step. First step is to know Lord Krishna. Without knowing him, the journey will not start. So what it talks about? It talks about Krishna's divine Janma and Karma. And it says that ki this Janma means birth. It is Krishna's Janma. So is divine appearance. And it is not ordinary, it is transcendental and divine, not forced by karma. So karma is actually under Krishna, like we are under karma. So Krishna is not forced by karma. Nobody can force, the karma cannot force anything to Krishna. And what is karma? Karma is actually activities, all the actions. So Krishna's actions, Krishna also is taking all the action all the time. We are also taking actions all the time. So our actions are actually karma, and Krishna's actions are actually pastime, which is we also called as leelas, because it is not bound by material laws. So what is the significance here? Significance here is to understand his divine nature, which will actually lead us to liberation. And that is what is our goal, right? We want liberation from these miseries. So then the path of liberation. Now, if you see the path of liberation in this slide, it has three layers. So that means we have to cover three layers. If we want to go to Vaikuntha, what are these three layers? The bottom layer, we start from the bottom layer. Always, we cannot directly jump. So bottom layer is a person is actively engaged in devotional service, that is Bhakti Yoga. So, and when we say devotional service, Bhakti Yoga means chanting japa, offering prayers, then serving the deities. So they are surrounded by the symbols of spiritual practice. Then when you practice all this, chanting, then offering prayers, then serving deities, association with the devotees, then you get a promotion to the second layer, ascending path. So in the ascending path you see here, it's a glowing path uh, rises from this layer, passing through different layers of consciousness. That means purification. So actually this is the process of purification. Throughout this journey, we are actually purification. If we want to do a transition, that bridge, we talked about this bridge, crossing the bridge. So this bridge we can only cross by purification. And then you see the top layer, the person now, he is transformed and he is radiant. That is why there is so much of glow. Okay. So he is actually entering the glowing open gates of the spiritual world. So that you can see that arrow is also pointing upwards. That shows that journey. So what is the path of liberation? Transformation, right? By knowing how the transformation will happen, by knowing Krishna's divine nature, one become free from material attachment. So just by knowing Krishna's divine nature, and it is also talked about in Bhagavad Gita in one of the shloka. Just knowing Krishna's divine nature, one become free from material attachment. And then what will happen? Upon leaving the physical body, one does not take birth again in the material world. So instead, one attain the eternal spiritual abode. That is Sanatana Dhama. It is called as Sanatana Dhama. We talked about Vaikuntha, right? So that is the uh, promotion, three layer of promotion we have. And if we have to conclude this particular shloka, we just talked about two real routes, the divine Janma and the karma of Krishna, and the path of bhakti that leads from one to the other. So the ultimate takeaway is not just to know his information, but to apply it. So it's not that we only should be aware of Lord Krishna, we have to also apply it. We have to take up the process of devotional service, like chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then we read the Bhagavad Gita and Purana and associate with the devotees. Right? And if you see in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 and shlok number 31, O son of Kunti, Lord is saying, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. So Krishna is assuring this. He is assuring that my devotee will never fall down. He will never perish. So that is the guarantee he is giving us. So with that assertion, we have to believe, right? And when you go to this uh, next shloka, that is 10th shloka. So Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha Manmaya Mam Upashrita Bhavo Jnana Tapa Puta Mat Bhavam Agata. So translation is being freed from attachment, fear and greed, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me. Many person in the past have become purified by knowledge of me. So many person in the past also they are purified by the knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. So if you want to love somebody, the basic qualification is you have to know somebody, right? You cannot directly say ki I love that person. First you have to know the person in and out. Then only you can love somebody. Otherwise, how it is possible? So here it is saying Jnana Tapa Puta. What is Jnana Tapa Puta? It is actually the process of purification. So to attain the transcendental state that we have described in text 9, one must undergo purification. And how this purification will come? This purification will only come by overcoming three major obstacles. What are the three major obstacles? Which is described in this. Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. Raga is what? Raga means attachment. Bhaya means fear. Anger is, Krodha is anger, right? So these are the three causes of our suffering. In this material world, do we have any other suffering apart from these three? No. These are the root is this. Root cause is this only. So they arise from identifying with the temporary material body instead of the eternal soul. So whenever we say ki we are the material body, then all these problems arises. So instead of that, we have to understand that we are eternal soul. So this purification process is described as Jnana Tapa. Jnana Tapa is austerities of knowledge, right? So only way to overcome this Raga, Bhaya and Krodha is through the process of devotion service, that is Bhakti. And Bhakti, what it involves? It is again then describing Mama Upashrita, right? What is Mama Upashrita? Means taking the shelter. We must surrender completely to Supreme Lord. Otherwise, the journey will become very far. Last time we discussed ki we have, so human nature is taking shortcut, and best thing is we have all the path in front, all the options basically. The Bhakti Vimana we talked about last class. So until we completely surrender to Supreme Lord, recognizing that He is only our true protector and He is only the sustainer. And then it is talking about Manmaya. So Manmaya is the absorption. We must fix our mind constantly upon Krishna. The absorption is very important, very important. Otherwise, we have seen that how the material energy, just 1 second also, if we are not absorbed, then material, the Maya will, it can kidnap us. So how we can fix our mind is achieving through these practices that we discussed, hearing about Krishna, Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita, right? So that is hearing about Krishna. And then this chanting of holy name, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then always remembering him, always serving him. It's not that when you're doing karma kands, you're going to office, you are making prasadam. We discussed this, right, in the last class, that during these activities also, we can always remember him. And instead of thinking we are serving to our boss, our manager, our spouse, or our kids, we are serving to Krishna. And that is fact also, right? So this verse mentioned that many person in the past have achieved this perfection. That means we are not the first one. Many person, they have already done this and they have achieved the perfection. That means this path is tried and tested, and it is also open for everybody. There is no that uh, this particular person cannot take this path and that person cannot take that this path. It's not like that. So what is the key takeaway? Key takeaway is that this intellectual, being intellectual is not necessary for gaining bhakti. And also, knowledge is not mandatory for some elevated devotee to progress in bhakti. That also, definitely, knowledge, that Gyan Yoga we were talking about, some Gyan is required for those who are in a very lower level, right? That is why you can see some of our Goswamis, they were very illiterate and they never, even one word they could not able to read, or they cannot write. Still, they were knowing all the verses of Gita. They preach, they elevated, they gave diksha to so many devotees. How that is possible? Can you say that knowledge is mandatory, otherwise you cannot? They have the eternal knowledge. They are doing it from past many births. It's not that this birth you have to start from zero. Bhakti is like that. It will continue. So that is why it is saying that it is not necessary. Also, you see that a person who is very intellectual, he actually have the pride, and this uh, intellectual pride is actually an obstacle. How it is an obstacle? If we go back to the story of this cobbler and this pandit, do we know about that story? The
Yes,
Brahman and the
Prabhuji.
cobbler?
Yes, and Narada Muni.
Yes, yes. So, Narada Muni used to travel across the universe. He was a very divine sage, right? Narada Muni. So, when he was traveling across many universe, he met these two different people on earth. And both of so these two people are, one was the Brahman and one was the cobbler. So, both asked the same question. And they asked that so both used to worship Lord Krishna. Okay, they were already devotee. Only difference is one was cobbler and he was a poor cobbler sitting under the tree mending old shoes. He also inquired Narad Muni when I will go to Vaikuntha, when Lord will pick me up, when I will be freed from this material world. And same question this Brahmana. And this Brahmana was very intellectual person, very proudy person. So this Brahmana used to perform all kind of rituals. He used to take daily bath, and he considered himself very deeply pious. He also asked the same question: when I'm going to get my salvation and go back to Godhead? So Narada Muni says, ki, okay, when I will next time when I will meet Lord Narayana or Vishnu in Vaikuntha, I will ask this question. And Narad Muni, he was very surprised when Lord replied. So Narad Muni conveyed this uh, question from cobbler and Brahmana, and but the reply which Lord gave, Narad Muni was very much surprised. So Lord replied that the cobbler will return to the spiritual abode immediately after giving up his current body, whereas the Brahman would take many, many more births. That is why Narad Muni was very much surprised. How come Brahman who is doing daily rituals will still have to take many, many more births to go back to Godhead, whereas a cobbler is, very poor and cobbler is a mochi, right? Who mend shoes. So how is this possible? So that time, uh, Lord Vishnu told Narad Muni, ki, do one thing, you're confused. You go to both of them and ask one same question. So when they will ask you what I am, so Narad Muni went back and these two, they asked, both of them asked the same question, ki, when I am going to go back and did you ask Narada? And they also asked that ki, um, what Vishnu is doing in Vaikuntha. So Vishnu already told Narad Muni ki when they will ask you this question, you tell them ki I am threading an elephant through the eye of the needle, and you kindly observe their reaction. You will automatically understand. So then Narad Muni went to Brahmana. So it was testing time for Brahmana. And he asked him, Brahmana asked Narad Muni what Lord is doing. And Narad Muni replied he was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. And immediately Brahmana reaction was, I don't believe such nonsense. You never met Lord. You are just making up things. How can one thread an elephant through a needle? How it is possible? And same thing, it was asked, Narad Muni asked this to cobbler. And cobbler's reaction, he started crying. Oh, my Lord, it is so wonderful. You can do anything. That's what was the cobbler's reaction. And then Narad Muni asked this cobbler, do you actually believe that the Lord can push an elephant through the hole of needle? And what is the answer cobbler gave? He said, Ki, why not? You see this gigantic banyan tree under which he was sitting. He told that ki, every day thousand of fruit fall from that banyan tree, and inside each tiny seed, inside the fruit there are tiny seeds, right? And inside this each tiny seed, there is a potential to become a massive um, banyan tree like that. So if Lord can put a massive banyan tree inside a tiny seed, Is it so hard to believe that he can push an elephant through a needle eye? And then Narad Muni realized it is not the intellectual Brahmana. Why cobbler will actually, after leaving his body, he will go back to Vaikuntha. That is the whole reason. And why this Brahmana, being so learned, he will take many, many more birth. Because this Brahmana, this Pandit, who have doubt in God's power. So you can see that this cobbler, he accepted Lord and he is having full faith. So this intellectualism alone cannot unlock the spiritual truth. Faith and devotion is required. That is very important. It's not that uh, how many times you have read Gita or Bhagavatam or how many slok you remember. That's not the main thing. The main thing is what is the intensity of your faith and devotion, right? So this material world is temporary. We have seen that in previous shloka. Dukhalem aswasadam. So this material world is a place of misery and is temporary. Our real home is the spiritual world. So we have to decide whether we want to stay in this material world or we want to go to spiritual. For that, bhakti is only the way. It is the purification process from material qualities like we discussed attachment, fear, and anger. These are the material qualities. So if we want to cross that, it requires the transformative power of devotional service, that is bhakti, and taking the shelter of Krishna. So you see that the essence of liberation. Everybody wants liberation. The people who are not learned, they only commit this suicide, thinking that if I commit suicide, I will get liberation. Or most of the majority thinks that anyway I will die, I will get the liberation. That is the liberation. So what is essence of liberation? Understanding Krishna's transcendental nature, which described in text number 9, and then engaging in the practice of devotion, which described in the text 10 of chapter 4, are the two aspects of the same process of liberation. One leads to the other. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Anything you want to add or you want to ask, we can discuss. So Saturday is also Ekadashi, and so tomorrow we'll have the Ekadashi class. Okay, if there is no questions or no points, we can end here and we'll do the association again tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Hare
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat
Thank you,
Pranama.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Thank you,
pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Thank you very much.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. We'll join tomorrow again.